big realization. I've done an awful lot of research into A, serial killers, and B, cult leaders. Big one for me was that cult leaders don't necessarily need to be that charismatic. But actually, cult leaders, it's not about the leader, it's about a lack in the followers of something. And the leader is just particularly good at identifying that lack, what it is that person needs to feel whole. I've watched interviews with David Koresh. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't follow David Koresh on Twitter. Do you know? I mean, really not charismatic at all. And yet, followed by a bunch of people who just thought he was extraordinary. The Kool-Aid killer, Jim Jones. I've listened to that final speech of his before 600 and something people killed themselves with cyanide. And again, you would have been in that jungle going, no way am I going to do that. And yet, those people did that. So what is it about, what is it missing in them that he managed to fulfill? So that's what it's about. You know, if you go and see The Master, you know, the new movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman. You know, again, that's what it's about. It's about people finding something in somebody and that person identifying what it is they need and filling it for them, because they're brilliant manipulators more than anything else. And it's just, it's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors and magic and just a trick.
I asked this earlier, and I'll throw it to you. Were you ever personally a joiner? Did you ever kind of join any groups to find that thing, that thing that you needed?
No, I joined a rock group once, but that's about as far as it ever went. No. No, they're snake oil salesmen. You know, they're not. That's all they are. I'm an atheist. You know, so I don't even. I just believe in us as human beings. Yeah. That's all. You know, so I'm not even. I have no faith in anything apart from the here and the now.
The cult of rock.
That's right.
Praying to the rock.
Exactly.
God
so you know, to me, you know, all religions are a certain cult, are a cult in a certain way. You know, that's what they kind of all are. Just don't print that. Don't print that.
You didn't name names. So you pretty much stole every scene you were in. Great job.
It's not my no. It's just the writing. It's only the writing. It's not my intention to go out stealing scenes.
Well, you mentioned David Koresh and Jim Jones. Are there any other either serial killers or other criminals that you particularly studied?
There's one. Well, I mean, the serial killer aspect of it. I took 4 different serial killers. One of whom is dead, Ted Bundy, which is obvious because he was cultured and he was a white-collar serial killer. He wore the most immaculate suits. You know, 3-piece. Grey flannel, beautiful ties, great hair, great smile. And yet I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, the final interview that he did in prison before he died, blamed it all on porn. Now, I don't know about you, porn in 1970, whatever it was, 3, 4, really pretty shabby stuff. Porn back then, I mean, God, what would he have been like now? No, so they tend to blame other people rather than taking responsibility for the consequences of their own actions. That's what they tend to do because they can't take responsibility for themselves. So Ted Bundy, and then there are 3 other serial killers who are alive now, 1 in England and 2 here, that I've taken, but they are all of them, like most serial killers, crazed, narcissistic egomaniacs, and they would like nothing more than to know that I was sitting here mentioning their names and that they'd be able to watch themselves on TV and go, hey, yeah, that's me. So I won't mention them.
Are there any parallels to be drawn between being an actor and being a cult leader?
What, a Comic-Con? Well, you know, no, because, you know, none of us are, as far as I'm aware, none of us are desperate to have a cult after us, I don't think, you know, so, but they, you know, I guess there is that thing that people think they know you and they think that they think that you owe them something in some way. I got a tweet this morning from somebody about something that's happened in my personal life recently, and they felt that it was their right to know about it. They were blocked very quickly. Like, get off. You have no right to know about that. No right at all. Something personal in my life, no.
Do
You
you
know,
think,
so there is that kind of weird thing where people feel that they own a bit of you, and they don't. You know, I'm just doing my job. I'm just trying to entertain people, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not a politician or a policy maker or anything like that. I'm in the land of make-believe. That's what we do.
do you think Joe Carroll blames Ryan for coming back? Because in the pilot he says, "I'm doing this for you. I need an ending. I want a sequel."
Well, I think with
in his
Joe-
head, does he blame him?
Yeah, he blames him. Doesn't anybody but himself. You know, I have written quite a long backstory for this character. That's actually, frankly, working into a novel now. I think it's about 7,000 words so far, and it goes way back. And I think, you know, although people have been saying, you know, is there anything good about this character? Well, probably not. But what there is, as the series goes on, as the layers get revealed, is an understanding. You might not forgive what he does, but you might understand why he does what he does. You know, people do have awful things that happen to them when they're young, when they're kids. You know, an awful lot of people who are abused as children become abusers of children. There are very few abusers of children who haven't been abused, and it's because of their boundaries of what is appropriate behaviour are completely elastic and screwed with from a very early age. And then there are also people who've been abused as children who don't ever become abusers. So what you're dealing with is just the vast sea of humanity here, and you have to find a way. And I mean, clearly, Joe Carroll is somebody who is erudite and uses language beautifully and loves those poets and that poetry and likes, and is a people person. And yet, in his spare time, he does this horrific stuff. You know, just like Ted Bundy. I mean, the stuff that Ted Bundy did when he used to go and dig up those women a month later, and yet you would see him doing this interview, and you would never imagine for a single second that this man could be that man in the same man. And yet he was. And they all, and so many of them are.
You were in Rome, and which a lot of people still love is like one of their all-time favorites on HBO. Tell us a little bit about the fact that there's legal serial killing in the name of religion and things that...
legal serial killing, there's legal serial killing in the name of nations.
Right,
There's
right.
legal serial, we have, you know, we touch on that a little bit
I was just
in
going
this,
to ask about that
in this,
series.
in the
yeah.
series.
Okay.
You know, what is the difference between killing a load of people in a war? What is the difference between killing a load of people at My Lai? What is the difference between bombing? I don't know. You know, there is a great deal of there's just a great deal of ambiguity about all of this. In terms, you know, and then we have a character later on who is an ex-military man who has, you know, that boundary between killing an enemy and killing beyond that. He's already done it once. He's already done it half a dozen times. So moving it somewhere else, there's not much difference to him. Yeah, you know, when is a serial killer not a serial killer? You know, that's the interesting. It's a really fascinating question. I don't really have an answer to it.
You were also in.
We have to end on that.
One more.
Okay.
You were also in John Carter. I know you worked really hard on it, but the fact of the matter is, despite what a lot of critics said, I didn't say this, but there's still a very big fan following for that film. And
You
really
know,
from the heart of
it's one of the great mysteries of my life. John Carter, it's a terrific movie. I love it. I really enjoyed making it. I'd watch it. I've watched it 3 times. I think it's a great movie. And if I have to watch John Carter or Transformers 5, which one's it going to be?
has a lot of heart.
It's a lot of heart.
It has a lot of heart.
And it's original.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the granddaddy of all science fiction. And it's just a shame that it's been ripped off so many times already that people think somehow that it's unoriginal. Yeah, but anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
It's one of the mysteries.